We hope you'll be inspired to visit them, as well as come up with a few favourites of your own. This is one of mine.
Stirling Castle sits boldly, smack bang in the centre of Scotland. Its location is not only geographically in the heart of Scotland, but also historically. Here at Stirling Castle, we're completely surrounded by Scotland's history. Over there is the Wallace Monument that commemorates William Wallace, the great freedom fighter. And all around here for 2 days in June 1314 raged the Battle of Bannockburn. William Wallace and Bannockburn are essentially about the same thing, a united people determined to be recognised as an independent nation. In the early 16th century, Henry VIII, the infamous King of England, was trying to secure the marriage of the infant Mary Queen of Scots to his son, Edward.
Mary Stuart, known as Mary Queen of Scots, was a focus for religious and political intrigue almost from the moment she was born. And during the rough wooing by King Henry VIII, she was hidden here in Stirling Castle along with her mother. And she was so important to the nation that it was vital that no one should spot her and give away her hiding place. And so the masons made this little spy hole in the battlements so that the infant queen could look out over her kingdom without being seen.
The Great Hall is among Stirling's greatest features. It's the finest surviving medieval hall in Scotland, recently restored and the exterior lime-washed in the original colour. This caused some controversy when it was completed in 1999. But it's a potent reminder of a time when Scotland saw itself as a key Renaissance country in Europe.
This is the Great Hall of Stirling Castle. It was built by King James IV and it was completed by 1503. This extraordinary, huge internal space is impressive to us in the 21st century. Can you imagine the impact that this would have had on visitors in the 16th century? It was breathtaking. It was the biggest hall in Scotland. It was one of the biggest and most impressive buildings really anywhere in Europe of its kind. That was the intention of King James IV. He was a great Renaissance prince. He was a polymath. He was a scientist, a linguist, a great warrior, a great leader of men. He was a patron of the arts. He was the first monarch in Europe to pass a law saying that the sons of all barons and freeholders had to have a rudimentary standard of education. When you look at this building from the outside, it's been painted in a golden lime wash. It looks the way it would have looked in the 16th century. When the sun's out, this building shines, and it symbolises what Scotland was for a brief time in the 16th century. It had ceased to be a cultural backwater, and now it was a bright, shining jewel on the world stage.
Stirling Castle is the hub around which much of Scottish history revolves. It's not just at the geographical centre of the country, it's also at its emotional and spiritual heart. Stirling Castle has mattered to Scots for 1,000 years, and it still matters today.
For Britain's best, we've roamed Scotland and brought you the 6 historic sites that we believe matter most. But maybe you've got other suggestions. Here are just a few of the historic sites that are open to the public but didn't quite make it into our final selection.
The spectacular and romantic Eilean Castle by the Kyle of Lochalsh. You can see where Robert the Bruce was buried at Dunfermline Abbey. Manderston, the epitome of the Edwardian country house. For the green fingered option, visit the Royal Botanic Gardens in Edinburgh. Finally, while still in Edinburgh, visit the Palace of Holyrood House, proudly flying the royal standard. This royal residence has been closely associated with Scotland's turbulent past for over 500 years.